Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Middle Dad and Thor No Football. I'm Brett, Middle Dad. This is T Pipe, Thor.
What's going on? So we're going to do a rundown of the next week's games.
This week's games.
The bowl games.
Yeah.
It's bowl season. Yeah. All right. So tomorrow we got Ohio State and Miami.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Oh, I'm a little off right now. So it's going to be the Camp World Stadium, the Cheez-It Bowl.
He's full of names.
It's great.
Cheez-It Bowl. I like Cheez-Its.
Yeah. Line right now, Oklahoma State, 1 point. The over/under is 61. Anything you want to add about this one?
Big news for Miami is Derek King decided he was going to come back for one more year. So that's huge for them going forward.
Smart move on his part.
It is, and you're going to see a lot of guys on Clemson move on to the NFL. Notre Dame's no longer going to be in the conference. UNC, which we discussed them a little bit, but they are basically going to be reloading. So that sets up prime for Miami to maybe take a run at this thing in the conference. I go back and forth on this game. I think Oklahoma State's more loaded than Miami is. And seeing what UNC was able to do to Miami, I think Oklahoma State's going to win this game. But I'm looking forward to it.
All right. 9 o'clock tomorrow, the Valero Bowl will be Texas, 20th in the country, against Colorado, who was 4-1. The line right now in this game is 7.5 for Texas, and the over/under is 63.5. I'm going to go with the over on this one, and I think Texas is going to win this game.
I don't know squat about Colorado, but fun fact, for a year I only bought Valero gas because they had a bowl game. No other gas station had a bowl game. So you want my business? Get yourself a bowl game. You know? But I think Texas is going to run away with this thing. Honestly, I haven't really watched Colorado at all this year. But Texas, Herman, they announced they're not going to fire him.
Right.
You got some.
Honestly, that's the right move.
I do too.
Who are they going to find to replace him?
Exactly.
Go smells on?
Yeah. If you can't get somebody better, don't fire the guy.
Right.
Ellinger's going to be there. As far as I know, they don't have a lot of opt-outs. I know that offensive lineman, that's supposed to be like a first-round pick, he opted out. Other than that, I don't really think they have too many opt-outs. Texas definitely has something to prove.
Right.
I predict them to win big in this game.
Awesome.
9 o'clock at night, though. I don't know if I'm going to say it.
You're off, right?
Yeah, still, I'm old.
Yeah, you can get tickets right now for $85. You probably get a flight into San Antonio early tomorrow for about $45 for the plane.
Keep an eye on those. We might have to look at something for another game.
Yeah. Okay. Pinstripe, New Era Pinstripe Bowl canceled. I think it's in New York, isn't it?
Yeah, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Okay. The Duke's Mayo Bowl. I saw that earlier. I was like,
Now I gotta stop by Duke's Mayo.
yeah. I don't know Mayo. Wisconsin is against Wake Forest. It's going to be held at the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. This is Wednesday game, December 30th. Wake Forest 4-4, Wisconsin 3-3. Wisconsin had a disappointing season, of course, but they are favored 7.5 points. The over/under is 51.5. I'm going with Wisconsin. I'm going with Wisconsin to roll big.
I don't know anything about Wake Forest. I didn't watch them at all this year. I watched a handful of Wisconsin games. Yes, they were really disappointing. But to me, this seems like this could be one of those games. And again, I was just bullshitting you. I didn't see Wake Forest play. But could this be one of those Wisconsin just lean on the running game and basically overpower them, and then by the fourth quarter, Wake Forest just can't handle it anymore? Possibly. I don't know. Let's just flip a coin.
There you go.
Buy some Duke's mayonnaise and flip a coin.
All right, 8 o'clock, the 30th, Wednesday the 30th. Probably the best game out there, I think, during the bowl season. Florida against Oklahoma, Cotton Bowl. The line is OU -3. The over/under 70. I'm kind of a toss-up, but I'm actually leaning to Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to pull this one out.
I think Oklahoma's going to win as well. They're really hot coming down the stretch. And as you said, this is one of the better bowl games. Pre-opt-outs, there was 3 bowl games I was looking at, which was really good matchups. Unfortunately, all 3 are riddled with opt-outs. Learned a couple days ago, Kyle Pitts, first-round pick, tight end for the Gators. He's going to opt out. And for a while, we thought that was it. Well, Marco, who throws the shoe, Wilson, has decided to opt out. No big deal there. It's probably better for Florida. That guy's not there. But Grimes and Kadarius Toney opted out, and then there's rumor that Copeland's now opting out. So who the hell is Trask going to throw the football to? I would be inclined to take the over on this, but I don't know. They don't have a great running game. Oklahoma's defense is okay.
It's gotten better.
It's gotten better. I expect Oklahoma, we saw what Florida was able to kind of somewhat hold Alabama, and I hate saying that because Najee Harris 5 touchdowns, Devonta Smith like 16 catches for $184 with 2 touchdowns.
You can't
But
stop them.
you can't. But literally, they did kind of hold them with a chance to win, coming down to the end of the game.
They were in the game.
So there could be a great game. I just think Oklahoma's going to nip them. Too much coming in. Upset about the SEC championship loss. Too many opt-out guys. It's prime for Oklahoma to pick them off, and then the narrative's going to spin. It's going to be, oh well, we beat an SEC team, and then the SEC fans for Florida will say, well, we didn't care about it because we didn't, we lost the SEC championship game, didn't make playoffs, everyone was opting out, and then Oklahoma fans will say excuses, but that's legit,
Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma's played in a meaningful game pretty much the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And now they're in the bowl game with just a ho-hum 7th-ranked team in the country, Florida, who just lost a nail-biter against Alabama.
And Oklahoma's a young team.
Yeah.
A lot of the, I think their best wideouts are freshmen. Hazelwood, sophomore, they have a couple of sophomores. They've already had their upperclassmen backs opt out before the season even started. So they're a young team. Definitely look it up for them. They probably want to be there with Florida.
The Trans Perfect Music City Bowl has been canceled.
Thanks, Missouri.
Yeah, appreciate it. That was actually going to be an interesting game, I thought. 15th in the country, Iowa against Missouri. It should have been a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thursday, December 31st, the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, which is always exciting. It's going to be in Fort Worth. Tulsa, 24th in the country, is playing Mississippi State. Mike Leach in his game, 3-7. Tulsa's -2.5 point favorite. OU over under 47 points. I definitely would take the over on this one, but you can't never really tell. I'm gonna go with Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State's gonna pull it out. They played hard, even though their record doesn't show it.
Yeah, I mean they've been playing a lot better towards the end of the season. Once Leach kind of got rid of all the guys and didn't want to buy in, he started playing with the true freshmen. Both of them, the QB and number 31, that wide receiver, that's really, really good, true freshman. I have no idea how this game's going to go. I know that Tulsa took Cincinnati to the line in that conference championship game there.
Again, a conference championship game. They lost, and now they're playing a 3-7 Mississippi State team. I don't know. I tend to go with the team that's got a lot more to play for.
I agree. I just didn't think Tulsa looked that good. But I saw them play early in the year, and they looked pretty good offensively. So who knows? It could be a high-scoring game.
Right.
Have no clue.
Right. 2 o'clock on Thursday, New Year's Eve. Ball State, San Jose State, 6-1 against a 7-0 team. San Jose State, 22 in the country. Line has San Jose State 9.5 points with over/under of 64. Haven't seen either one of these teams play all season long, so it's probably gonna be a great game.
I've been hearing a lot about San Jose State giving me a pretty good team. I said before over here, that's the best logo in college football. I'm going with the best logo in college football, San Jose State.
I'll go with San Jose State as well. 4 o'clock, New Year's Eve. We have West Virginia Army, 9-2 Army against a 5-4 West Virginia team. West Virginia by a touchdown. OU over and under 41.5. You know what? I'm going to go West Virginia in this game.
I'm going Army.
Yeah.
They were 9-2 and didn't have a bowl game. They needed somebody to get COVID and have to step out. They got lucky. They're in this game, which I think is great because it's the Army and it's the Liberty Bowl, so it kind of fits, you know. I mean, they got hosed on the Armed Forces and the Military Bowl and all those other bowls they could have been in. I think Army rolls them.
Yeah.
I think Army just mops the floor with them.
Comes to play.
Yeah, I mean, I thought West Virginia could have been one of them sneaky good teams early in the year, but I just think Army is they're excited to finally be in a bowl game. I didn't think they were going to be in one.
With a legitimate team.
And they're just going to beat the hell out of them.
We'll see. Let's see, the Macari Texas Bowl. Arkansas.
Oh, Jesus, that's that website where you sell shit. You know, it's like the good-looking girls, like, oh, take a picture and sell it. Yeah, it's Macari's. Yeah, it's like eBay, but not auction-based.
Okay. All right. Well, you got Arkansas versus TCU. Two programs mired in the middle of their conference, not really doing anything. 6-4 TCU. Arkansas 3-7. The line in this game, they get TCU 4.5, over and under 57 points. I'm gonna go with TCU on this one.
I'm going with the over. I'm going with Arkansas to roll them. I don't even notice today on Twitter. Literally every guy in Arkansas, whether they were a junior or a senior, they're all coming back. The seniors are using that NCAA rule where this year doesn't count. The juniors are all coming back. They love Sam Pittman. Pittman's retweeting all of them. They might be like one of the teams out of the West next year.
Might sneak in.
Everyone's like coming back, literally. The only guy they said that probably wasn't going to come back is Felipe Franks. He's going to use the Senior Bowl to help his draft stock. I can't stop laughing when I think about Felipe Franks actually getting drafted. But they could be pretty damn good next year. I think that momentum that started this week with that news rides into the bowl game, and I think they just, play for their coach. They love the hell out of Pittman, and they're going to beat the tar out of TCU.
He's a good coach, and you can recruit, and that's all that really matters in college football. All right, now we're getting to the New Year's Six games. Georgia against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's undefeated 9-0. Georgia 7-2. Would be 8-2, but Vandy canceled the last game of the season. It's 8 versus 9. It's going to be the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. UGA is favored by 7. I'm going to go with Georgia to win, but I don't think they're going to win by 7. I think it's a very close game. They've lost a lot of people have opted out. Here, Richard LeCounte may actually get.
Yeah, well, LeCounte should probably play. Originally, we said last week, because last week we had heard that there was 7, maybe 8 players opt out. Almost all, in fact, all of them but one on defense.
Right.
Well, now we're hearing that 2 of the guys that opted out on defense are going to be back, and then LeCounte should be back. So that's not as bad as it could be. However, apparently now Georgia, who hasn't had an issue all year, now has COVID issues. Kirby Smart said that he doesn't think the game is in danger of not being played, but of course he's going to say that. So I don't know what to think. Georgia doesn't release COVID information, but whatever. I mean, actually, I think that's a good idea. You can say we've got players that have it. There's no need for you to put out names.
Right.
There's no need for you to put. We got 10 guys with COVID. If they don't play the game, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Georgia should win this game, and they should, with the talent gap, they should just win it easily.
Right.
I do believe Georgia has something to play for. I believe these seniors with a win can tie the most wins of any senior class. The seniors would have been the 2017 National Championship game, 18 and 19 SEC Championship game appearances. They will go out as the tie for the winningest class. Thanks Vanderbilt, because that would have been the tying game, and the bowl game would have been the most. But it's going to tie the winningest class. So I think that Georgia has something to play for. I don't know who's got COVID. If JT Daniels has COVID,
It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a completely different ballgame. I don't think Cincinnati will be able to stop the run,
Right.
and nor do I think they're going to be able to run the football successfully against Georgia. But hell, I don't know. I might go with you. I think Georgia might win, but it might be like a late field goal, or maybe like 4 points or something like that. Maybe trying to hold off Cincinnati from scoring a game-winning touchdown at the end of the game. I don't know.
That's kind of how I feel it's going to play out. But, normally in years past bowl game, you got a month gap. I mean, they just played 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they just basically get a bye week and they're out there playing. So we got at 1 o'clock also New Year's Eve, which is not a New Year's Six bowl game. We have the, what's this, the Verbo, the Citrus Bowl? I don't know.
It's a Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl.
Some of these games I refuse to even acknowledge the freaking sponsors.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing like the Nokia Sugar Bowl. It's the freaking Sugar Bowl,
Yeah.
all right?
Right.
So this is Citrus Bowl in Orlando. We've been to this game before. Auburn has 0. Coach is gone. I haven't heard about opt-outs. Their whole program is basically a shit show right now with this ridiculous coaching search that they just did.
And Northwestern's only a 3.5 point favorite, which
Yeah.
to me just pretty much means put your money behind Northwestern, hope for the best because they're going to kill Tank Bigsby.
And I think Auburn's the more talented team. I
They
mean,
are.
I know they say, "Oh, Northwestern is so good." Look, we watched them against Ohio State. Ohio State was out 22 guys, and Northwestern didn't score in the second half of the game.
Right.
They're one-dimensional. That guy, the QB for Northwestern, played the best game of his life for the first half of that game, and it wasn't enough. Auburn's not a bad football team. They were playing pretty good the last 2 games of the season. It was A&M and Alabama. I don't know. I think Auburn's a good team, but they're a mess right now.
No coach.
Yeah,
no
I
leadership.
think Northwestern takes this one by a late score.
Okay. Well, the tickets right now are going for $48. You probably get there day of the game and probably get a ticket for 20.
Yeah.
You get a flight probably to Orlando right now for under $50. So you can do a $100 day. You don't get a hotel room. Tie one on at the stadium. Come back. Be back in Atlanta by but the game's at 1. Probably be back in Atlanta by 8 that night. I mean, if you had a wild hair and you want to go to Orlando Friday morning, you could probably have a good old time. 4 o'clock game is one of the semifinal games. It's Notre Dame against Alabama.
The Rose Bowl played in Dallas, Texas,
That's right.
which I think is great.
And it's a 19.5 points. Alabama favored. I would say they're going to win by 28 points. That's how confident I am that Alabama's going to roll against Notre Dame. Alabama's been the best team in the country all season long. It's by at least a touchdown, I think. Over under on this game is 65.5. I would go with the over because Alabama's going to roll.
Yeah, Alabama's defense isn't the vaunted Alabama defense that we kind of grew up with. Well, you know what I mean. Like, it seems like
The past 15 years.
yeah. Even though it's not that vaunted Alabama defense, I still think it's good enough. I mean, Notre Dame's not going to move the ball like Florida did. Although the tight ends kind of scare me. I mean, Kyle Pitts had a huge game, and Notre Dame's got 3 really good tight ends. I just don't think they're going to be able to hold up just like against Clemson. They're going to come out with a few nice drives in the beginning.
Get right down to it. They just know the horses.
They might score a touchdown. If they get stuck and start scoring field goals, Alabama's just going to keep scoring touchdowns. Yeah, I think Alabama's going to roll. I don't know if I want to go with the over. I'm kind of thinking maybe like, due to the fact that Notre Dame might be able to control the ball for a little bit towards the end of the game in garbage time, scoring a couple touchdowns, I want to say this might be like 40 to like 10, something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm in agreement with you. I think Alabama's going to roll this game. And you'd like to sit there and say, okay, this will be the second time Notre Dame has made the playoffs. First time Clemson rolled the shit out of them. Clemson beat the hell out of them last week. If they get the crap beat out of them again by Alabama, you'd like to think, well, maybe the committee just won't put them in anymore. BS. The committee's going to keep putting them in if they're up there, and they're just going to keep getting walloped.
If they're a one-loss team and they're inside the top 5 by the end of the season, they're going to try to find a way to get in there because it's guaranteed viewership.
The better game would have been Ohio State Notre Dame. That would have been the more comparable game.
Right.
Obviously, Alabama Clemson more comparable. Obviously, they don't want to do that because they want a Clemson Alabama rematch in that championship game, which is boring as crap because that's what the 3rd, 4th time.
Yeah. But
It'd be
the 2 programs are clearly the best 2 programs in the country.
well, they are. I just don't. I'm kind of thinking about ratings here. How many people are going to be, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at a sports bar watching this game?
They're probably watching the NCAA basketball.
Yeah, and this will be the 4th matchup in the national title game
Right.
between these 2 teams.
Yeah. Now that brings us to the 8 o'clock game, the Sugar Bowl. Ohio State, Clemson. Clemson's favored by 7.5. I see Clemson winning by at least two touchdowns. The over/under is 66.5. I'm gonna go with the over. They're going to score points. I just think you get right down to it. I just think Clemson just has more talent on the field right now, and they're going to win this game. And has, and another thing that looks interesting to me, you see the ticket price for the Notre Dame Alabama game. You get a ticket for $155, which is about face value. But the Ohio State Clemson game is $851. That's the low right now.
Yeah.
And we've been to the Sugar Bowl, and
It is a fun
it
time.
is a fun time. If you ever get a chance to go to Sugar Bowl, you need to go. Because me and this kid, we burnt New Orleans.
Make sure you like prepare though, not for the drinking.
Yeah.
Eat some stuff that you might not normally eat before you go, just to kind of get your stomach acclimated to like some different things, and sometimes things that might not be fully cooked all the way.
The spicy.
I don't know what it was, man. But I was sick.
I think.
It was a great time.
Yeah. I mean, nothing
But
but booze
you
for 3
notice-
days and spicy food.
You notice we were just sitting there talking about the Alabama Notre Dame game, and then just kind of talking about Alabama Clemson and the national championship, just assuming
Yeah.
that's unfair to Ohio State. They have yet to play their best game. Even if it happens, I don't think. I don't say I don't think. Even if it happens, I don't know that they'll definitely beat Clemson.
Right.
Clemson's offense is a little bit too dangerous for Ohio State. All those guys that were first-round draft picks on the corners last year, they were first-round picks on the corners. They don't have those guys this year. The defense isn't as solid as it's been. They've only played 6 games. They're not. A lot of people are talking about how well they're fresh. Well, you only played 6 games.
Back-to-back weeks, they've only done it once.
Only done it once, and you haven't only been tested maybe like once for a little bit. You know, they're going to get tested. How they're going to react. The 6 games, they're not fine-tuned, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They haven't been fine-tuned. Justin Fields is going to make plays, but I thought they would have a better chance until I watched what Clemson's defensive line. Just the 4 guys of the defensive line. They run a traditional 4-3. They've got their 2 defensive ends. They just recast KJ Henry and Justin Mascoll. And then in the middle, it's Miles Murphy and Brian Barisi. And I want to say Barisi and Murphy are freshmen. And Mascoll, I think, is just a sophomore, maybe junior. Anyway, great defensive line. I'm thinking those guys alone should create enough pressure where they can do some blitz packages. They'll be able to maybe bring an extra guy into the box to stop Trey Sermon running the football. So I think Clemson will win, let's say 38-22.
That seems fair enough.
38-23.
You can go with that. I can deal with that. All right. Well, we do have some games that are being played Saturday. I guess that doesn't really matter because I mean, you got NC State playing Kentucky at the Gator Bowl. We get tickets going for $36, which pretty much means you can probably get a ticket there for like 12 if you get it outside the stadium. The line on this is Kentucky by 2.5 points. Over unders 50.5. NC State hasn't had a bad season. They're 8-3 on the season. You know what? Kentucky 4-6. I want to go NC State on this one.
I'm going Kentucky.
Okay.
They're gonna do that thing where they get the football and they first down, second down, third down. And it's gonna be 3rd and short, and they run it, and it's gonna take like a 9-minute drive. They're gonna do that like 3 or 4 times this game. NC State's gonna be like, we're out gaining them, you know. We're having more success offensively. We
Right.
can't get the football.
Right.
I think Kentucky wins.
Okay. All right. Outback Bowl. 12:30 start time Saturday. Raymond James Stadium. We got Ole Miss, Indiana. To me, this is an interesting game.
How does Ole Miss at 4-5 get to the Outback Bowl against a 6-1 Indiana? And why isn't Indiana taking someone's spot in a New Year's 6 game? They finished, if I'm not mistaken, 2nd. I think Indiana should be where Northwestern is in Citrus Bowl. Citrus Bowl and Outback Bowl are basically right there, hand in hand. But in terms of tiers, the Outback Bowl gets the 2nd choice. I think it should have been flipped. I think Ole Miss should be playing Northwestern. Indiana should be playing Auburn, whatever. Look at this line. Indiana by
8 points.
8 points. I am taking the over, and I'm taking Ole Miss to win this game.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the things Indiana's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Ole Miss is taking this game by 20 points.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Ole Miss is going to roll them. Indiana's not going to have a clue of what to do against this
The
offense.
Mississippi schools 3 years from now, if Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin stay, are going to be contenders in the SEC West.
Yep.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
They lost 5 games, it's not like they can't score points, they just can't play defense. Other than Freifogel, I don't think there's a guy in Indiana that can start at any of the teams that beat Ole Miss. I'm thinking Ole Miss to win this game, and I think it's going to be a laugher.
State Farm Stadium, the Fiesta Bowl. Another one of the New Year's 6 games. Saturday, 4 o'clock, Oregon takes on Iowa State. This could be an interesting game. I think it's going to be kind of exciting. Iowa State's favored by 4.5. I'm going to go with Oregon on this one.
Me too.
And I'm going to go with the over 57.5 points. Oregon's going to score. I don't know about the final score here, but I definitely think Oregon's going to score at least 35 points. And 4.5, you got to go with Oregon here.
Iowa State losing a heartbreaker, the Big 12 championship. Oregon getting into the Pac-12 championship on a wing and a prayer and beating USC somewhat convincingly. 2 teams kind of like possibly going different directions now. Oregon with a lot to play for. Again, Iowa State wants to win this game because it's a successful season. They're 8-3. That's not. I mean, 9-3 is kind of like okay.
Yeah.
Maybe for Iowa State, that's a good season.
Yeah, it's a good season for
But Oregon, I'm thinking Oregon takes them.
I do too. And the final game, the Orange Bowl, which is always exciting. It's $129 if you want to go to Miami. You can probably get a flight for $50, $129. 8 o'clock start time. Texas A&M against North Kakalaki. Texas A&M, 7.5 point favorite. I would probably want to go with Texas A&M here, but I'm feeling like North Carolina's going to win this game.
The 2 running backs in North Carolina have opted out,
Okay.
which is a shame because they're really talented running backs. They've had a couple other opt-outs. Obviously, Sam Howell can't opt out because he's only a sophomore. A&M, they are 8-1. They are one of the few teams that didn't get to play all of their games. Right? Yeah, that's right. Number 5 didn't get into the playoffs.
Right.
They're obviously going to be pissed off. I haven't heard of any opt-outs for A&M. That doesn't mean that they haven't been. They're probably just not significant enough to get the little notification. If it was a Kellen Mond or something, but haven't seen them in any opt-outs. I have a feeling this is a game where you're going to see a really angry Texas A&M game against a North Carolina team that, really angry Texas A&M team against a North Carolina team that's really good, but they're sitting there with all their studs not playing.
Right.
And they didn't have a great defense to begin with. They rode on the fact that they could score.
Right.
You get rid of those 2 workhorse backs, and these are like both of these guys. It's Williams, and I forget the other guy's name, but and the other guy I think is number 8. These are like 2nd, 3rd round draft picks in my opinion, and that's coming from someone who doesn't really think you need to take a running back in the 1st round. Great backs. They're not playing. I think it could get really, really ugly for North Carolina, and this could be one of those A&M 9-1 Orange Bowl victory seasons where they're just hyping up the program, and it looks really good for them. That's like it's going to happen.
Or they're going to come out here and lay a huge egg.
It's possible. It is A&M after all. But I just got a feeling A&M's just going to come out strong, and North Carolina's just not going to have the horses to even hang with them.
All right. Well, that basically we got one game after that. That's going to be the national championship game. It's going to be at the Orange Bowl or the Hard Rock Stadium. Tickets right now are going for $1,040. I'm going to go with Alabama v. Clemson. Alabama reigns supreme.
I don't know how I feel about that game yet. I got to watch both teams play this weekend. But I want to read something. We were discussing opt-outs. A lot of people say, oh, it's an excuse if you have a team that has a bunch of guys opt out because they lost in a conference championship game. That's not an excuse. That's a real thing. It's happened way too many times to too many different teams for it to be just an excuse. So I want to read you guys something. This is a tweet. This was actually last week from Joel Klatt. And he's like I want to say it's like Fox Sports,
right,
which is mainly like Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12. But this is regarding the college football playoff because as I'm sure any of you who are watching this channel, this year has been full of expansion talk and then why the playoffs are ruining the rest of the game. And he kind of like discusses that. He said the college football playoff has driven a massive gap in the top of college football. and then between the top of college football and the rest. The only teams that have ever won a college football playoff game, now we started, 2015? The only teams that have ever won a playoff game are Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Clemson, and Oregon. 6 teams. All right? So, oh shit, I can't work my phone. So, the top recruiting rankings are as follows: Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Clemson, and Oregon. Those are the only 6 teams that have ever won a playoff game. So I mean, look, I think that might be a little bit of a coincidence that they're the top ranked team, recruiting this year. Those teams are in the top 10 of recruiting every year, but I think it somewhat is a coincidence. But he does have a point. We discussed this here. A lot of people say, well, if you expand the playoffs to 8 teams and the number 1 plays the number 18, it's going to be a blowout. And I would say 9 times out of 10, you're probably right. But at least that's a quality opponent. Alabama's having to play a quality opponent instead of maybe like Nicholls State.
Right.
The number 2 team is going to play a quality opponent. You're going to have quality opponents. So eventually someone's going to get knocked off, and it's going to make for one of the greatest playoff games around, and we're not going to be having the same conversation about, well, it's always a blowout. Because I legit think you throw a team like Oklahoma in there, A&M, let's just say Georgia, because Kirk Herbstreit said at the end of the year, nobody was playing hotter than Oklahoma and Georgia, so we'll throw them in there. Forget Coastal Carolina and Cincinnati, but if you want to throw them in there, fine. Oklahoma, let's say Oklahoma has to play Notre Dame or Ohio State. I don't think Oklahoma can beat Clemson or Alabama, but maybe in a neutral field, 1 time out of 10, it could happen.
Right.
What happens if you have a number 7 Oklahoma against like a number 4 Notre Dame or number 3 Notre Dame? Could be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what there was more tweets there. He was advocating that, and I support that. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's a blowout. It's all about money. Eventually, the playoffs are going to expand because they can just keep rolling in more money.
And they should have took this year's opportunity to just throw it all out the window and expand the playoff.
Yep.
Give an excuse to do something different. Every other sport does it.
You might see it as a necessity with the name and likeness rule. If schools are having to pay certain players to have the name on the jersey and all this other stuff, they might need an extra revenue from another playoff game just to pay somebody's name and likeness. I don't know. We might be getting down the rabbit hole, but I don't know. I support college football expansion, and Joel Klatt, as much as I disagree with him, he does have a very, very valid point. Everyone's talking about the game being ruined, teams like Coastal Carolina and Cincinnati being left out, and then thinking it's impossible for us to make it because it's set up against us. Well,
expand it, allow them to, if they get in the top 8, give them a seat at the table.
Exactly.
Or the top 12, or top 16, however they want to do it. Ultimately, it's better for the sport if they have more big games. How about having the first round at some of these home stadiums?
Exactly. I don't know if that would happen due to the money thing, because you eventually been sitting there having Outback Bowl, Cotton Bowl as the playoff games. Because if you don't, as we're seeing again, players opting out, bowls are shutting down, and it's not always just a COVID, it's a money thing. What happens if Cotton Bowl's left out of the playoffs, and all of a sudden you have teams getting to that Cotton Bowl that should never be there in the first place under the old way, and all their guys are opted out. It's just use the bowls for the playoffs.
I mean, it'd be a good compromise for the whole.
Yeah.
For the, I guess, to maintain the bowl structure, I think that might be the only way to do it long term. I mean, it may end up getting 32 teams vying for.
I like, what was it? The 16 team one they did was on Twitter was really good. The 18 was good. Do it for 8 for now. Top 8, whatever. Top 10.
Expand it and then see what you get.
Yeah.
I just think at some point in time it'd be great to see like a USC play Ohio State or Oregon play a Georgia first round in the playoffs.
Yep. And who knows? You do a top 12, and then Coastal Carolina gets in there, and the TV deal that I don't know what it would be. Let's just say the TV deal is $5 million. Also in Coastal Carolina gets a $5 million check that they would have never gotten in the first place. They get blown out in the first round of the playoffs against Ohio State, but they get that $5 million check. And then they do it again the next year and they get another $5 million check. That's $10 million in the bank.
They bump their
All they're
facilities.
doing is just ramping up the facilities, ramping up the program, and 6-7 years down the road, they're the number 3 team getting in because they are in beautiful South Carolina, right by the water, and every recruit in the area wants to go play for Coastal Carolina.
Next thing you know, they're in the ACC and they're contending with Clemson, Miami, Florida State, and for recruits, just how you do a program.
Yep, people think we're crazy. That's how Florida State started. You know, early 80s, Florida State was nobody. You know, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's just something we'd like to see happen. It's probably never going to happen, but it'd be cool to speculate.
You're going to be old men by the time that takes place. Anyway, that's going to conclude our bowl preview. I know there've been some bowl games earlier. BYU played some other teams.
Kick their ass.
Those games really don't matter. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, except for those teams and those schools. But I hope everybody has a happy new year, and we'll do a video next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about the championship game after I get to watch those 2 games.
Yes. So you guys have a good day and enjoy the rest of 2020.
See you guys.
Peace out.